Hello, Tuesday. Coach Co here. Yesterday I did a little bit of a share of my exciting weekend starting on Friday. So, as a part of the protocol that I am putting my clients through, I always like to pilot things myself. And one of the things that I am an avid researcher. And so whenever the data comes up and more research comes out, like I go with it, and like I'm just always researching and up leveling, always wanting to grow, never settling for where things have been. Because I mean, if you think about it, especially in science and our bodies, what works and what doesn't work. I mean, like 20 years ago, fat was bad for you, eggs were bad for you, low fat diets, all the things. And then next thing we've discovered, no, wait, you need to eat those things. You need good fats, you need this, you need eggs. Don't eat red meat. Okay, this week eat red meat. You need the red meat. Co needs red meat. My blood work shows that I need red meat. I was never called to be a vegetarian or a vegan or anything. Not, don't mean to offend you if that's you. That's just not what Co is called to. So, that being said, Friday I went to go do some blood work because I wanted to get my hormones checked. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to check on all these. I haven't done blood work in a very long time. So, that's what I did. I did blood work. And thus, the unfolding of the crazy weekend. Go get blood work early in the morning. Should have known something was up whenever my blood, like the vein that they took, although this happens to me all the time whenever I give blood, which is why I don't really give blood all the time or do lab work. Or I actually tell myself the story that you can't get sick because, and I'm going to share, like, that's kind of what the point of this one is today. Bug just buzzed me. But like my vein right here had like blown up and swelled up, and blood was actually gushing out after she had wrapped it. I was like, I'm gonna turn around, I'm gonna let her give me another Band-Aid. That should have been a key indication, but I digress. So go about my day. I'm on a business call. My doctor keeps calling, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna answer. She's like, yeah, your numbers are super low. You need to go to the ER. Like, you shouldn't even be walking or functioning. Go to the ER. I'm just like, okay. Have to have a blood transfusion. They have to admit me. So this is really what I want to talk about today. So number one, I don't get sick very often, and I will avoid a hospital like the plague. Part of that is related to childhood trauma for me. So one of the things is like they don't know how I function with my blood count and my hemoglobin at like 5 whenever the bottom out number is 11. And they're asking me all these questions. So I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they're telling me, well, this wasn't a telltale sign to you. I was like, what are you talking about? I lived with this my entire life. Like, what you're telling me is normal since I was like 5. But I had to explain to them at 3 years old, my gallbladder was removed. The day that the Challenger crashed in 1986, Co was in surgery having my gallbladder removed. And again, avid researcher, all about science. Back then, they didn't put you on stuff. They didn't know enough about the gallbladder and the function with the liver and your digestion like they do today. And so I was never put on anything. I didn't eat a lot of food because everything made me sick. And like, let's talk about childhood trauma. Okay, you don't have a gallbladder, which means you don't process fats very well. So imagine being a little girl who suddenly starts to get fatter and fatter and fatter as you grow up because I'm not absorbing anything, and your body needs good fats to absorb, break down. I don't have an organ, okay? And then every food that you eat just makes your stomach hurt, and then you got to go to the bathroom, and then you got to have excuses to go to the bathroom, and then kids make fun whenever you're in school. So my solution, I'm just not going to eat at school. I'll wait till I get home, where I got access to the bathroom and I don't have to report to anyone or a teacher thinking that I'm just going to play. Yeah, those things were all told to me. So, anyway, that's like a whole other thing for another thing. The point is, I've grown up with this level of, I've always been an intense person. But I guess because I grew up with, just pushing through my entire life, I didn't realize, like, I felt fine Like, that was, we were kind of arguing a little bit because she's like, you need to get to the ER. I'm like, well, can I wait till after my business call? I'm like, I got to work this afternoon, like all the things. She's like, you don't understand. You need to get to the ER. And I'm just like, okay. I'm like, I'm going to listen to you. So I had to get 3 transfusions. But part of that, feeling a little, no wonder why I needed to get blood transfusions. I felt sucked dry like a vampire because of all the blood that they took from me. But they also had to put 2 IVs in me. Now, something that you definitely don't know about me because I don't talk about it much is whenever I was a little girl, because I had so much stomach issues and like gastric issues. Like, I just remember I had this one I don't remember the whole story. I probably have to ask my parents. But I just remember we were at Lake Charles. I had to have been 5 years old, and we went to the hospital. And because number one, my blood veins are very deep, they roll. And I mean, what I learned about all that this weekend is that's because you're anemic and my blood count was so low. I was like, well, okay, well, that's a key indicator that I grew up this my entire life. But, I mean, I remember I got stuck, like, looking for a vein by needles, like, at least 6 or 7 times. And so here we are, back in the ER. I'm getting stuck several times, and part of the problem is like, my veins blow. I mean, look, there's one of my bruises right there. So now we're triggering some childhood trauma here. I was like, oh, I don't allow myself to get sick or get under the weather, or I just don't allow myself to feel that way because I refuse to go to a doctor or a hospital where I'm going to get stuck. Because as a little girl, like, it was very painful, and then they would kind of dig a little bit. Like, if they've ever missed the vein and they dug, it's a very painful thing. Imagine being a little girl at 5 years old and that's happening to you. So, now granted, because this is what I do all the time, is the emotional work with clients, and, you know, as things come up, I do the work myself, with myself. Well, that's exactly what was going on. I got to see it as an opportunity to clean up some childhood trauma, but, you know, as they're sticking me and prodding me, and I'm just like I won't look. Like, I actually will look away. I still grip the sheet. It's just, yeah. So, you know, lots of people are asking me if I'm fine. I'm like, well, I didn't feel bad to begin with, to be honest. And, like, Sunday, I'm just kind of processed because I got out of the hospital super early on Saturday. And as I'm processing, you know, again, I'm being asked and I'm fine. And thank you to the people that asked me, you know, like, I appreciate you checking in on me. But the thing is, and somebody's driving off, it's so beautiful out here. Like, you can't not sit outside and enjoy this Louisiana fall, right? Like, I was just I couldn't even put it into words. I was like, I just feel different. Like, I don't feel better. I'm actually more tired. And that's what I really wanted to, like, hone in on today. Like, you know, they tell you that you're going to have all this extra energy. I'm actually more exhausted. And the reason why I'm exhausted is because the thing that we fail to often acknowledge, especially as adults, and whenever we're dealing with things that are triggering, it's an opportunity to clean up some childhood trauma. But, like, you know, we can take total, like, care of our physical bodies, but if we don't deal with the emotional stuff at the same time, like, we're not okay. Like, physically, I'm sure my energy level is fine, but, like, I'm struggling. Like, number one, I'm going to bed at like 7:30 at night, which is about an hour before I usually do. Like, and I'm waking up like later in the morning, like I'm blowing through my alarms, which is not normal for me. I'm a very disciplined person. I'm just exhausted. And the things that sometimes we have to take into account, I don't know how traumatizing blood transfusion is to the body because I've never had one before. I mean, I'm noticing some differences, definitely, with myself because I pay very close attention to my body. But, like, the emotional implications of thinking about my mom, because, you know, my parents are like, well, we'll come up to the hospital. I was like, for what? For you to, like, y'all are like 70. Like, you're not coming to sit at a hospital with me. You know, and my best friend's little girls, like, they know me all the time. And they're like, why is Coco in the ER? And, you know, like sometimes we can be exhausted because of the emotional side of things. And oftentimes, like, we as society, we just don't want to deal with that. And like, one of the biggest things that I do whenever I'm working with clients is not only are we going to deal with what's happening physically, we have to deal with what's going on spiritually and especially emotionally. Because, like I said, we can take care of our body physically and be in optimized health. But if we don't deal with the frequency and the vibrations that are connected to the traumas of our emotions, eventually that dis-ease is going to show up in our body somewhere. It is what it is. So part of the things that we must do is give ourselves grace and to continue to move forward. Do the journaling work. If we have to go see a specialist, go see a specialist. I don't want to be long-winded, but just, being able and being aware to identify connections to childhood stuff, like all the pricking of my arms, like 7 or 8 times as a little girl. And it triggers it every time. Like, I'm kind of a big baby about it. It's crazy. I've broken stuff. I mean, I've twisted a rib at a place and where it's painful to breathe. That's okay. You stick a needle in my face and I am like curled up in the fetal position. But now I understand why. It's because of that. It was a perfect opportunity for me to go and deal with it. And I was just kind of thinking about it today. I just finished actually eating and I went for a little walk because it's the afternoon and it's a beautiful afternoon. And I was like, I gotta go walk before I start my downtime routine. And part of it is because, the science shows bilateral movement. That's why, like, things such as emotional freedom technique tapping or EMDR therapy, it's because of the bilateral movements that help us clear out that trauma. So one of the things that you can really do, especially if you're under stress, is to go for a 10-minute walk. I like to do it after I eat dinner because, number one, it helps with digestion. Just a little 10-minute walk. I didn't even bring my phone. I just wanted to get out and get in nature and think about what was coming up for me today, with the emotional stuff of going on this weekend and giving myself grace. But as I'm thinking about it and I'm walking, I'm telling my body to calm down because I'm walking away from the danger and the stress of what all that created. So that is what I want to share. Like, walking is one of the most powerful, easy things that just about any human being can do. And that is the movement that I want to start. Like, I want to create awareness for women with their bodies, our hormones. We've never really appreciated them, and I'm really starting to appreciate them now. And just, like, we're all in this together. We are up against some of the biggest stresses that no other generation have encountered. Overstimulation, all the toxins and environmental, like, interrupters. And so we are the ones that have to learn this for the next generation to teach them well. And that is the movement that I want to start. It's about awareness. It's about healing. It's about being grateful for who we are and to just really learn how to deal with the emotions and the physical traumas of life and just really walk the weight off. Like, it's a play on words, but it's not a play on words. It's a play on every element of our being. Like, since we're in such a cloud of great witnesses, let us cast off, let us let go of all the weights. That's emotional wounds, that's baggage, that's things that we're holding on to. It's an opportunity to clean it up and step forth to the joy set before us. So let's walk the weight off, baby. All right, I love you guys. Y'all have a blessed evening. Sorry, I was a little winded. It's going to be a fun story this month and week. All right, love you guys. Till next